Hello everyone, you're watching another video on the channel The Age of Dinosaurs, which is dedicated not only to the mysteries of the past, but also to the realities of the present, as well as forecasts for the future of our planet and the people living on it. It's well known that the development of hunting skills played a key role in the process of human evolution. However, for many thousands and even millions of years, as humans improved their hunting skills, they themselves remained the object of hunting by many strong, cunning, and intelligent predators. Who ate our distant ancestors while they hunted mammoths and other game? And who's the main enemy of mankind in the 21st century? Find out by watching the video to the end. First, a simple but surprising observation. We all believe, not without reason, that man is the strongest and most intelligent creature on the planet. No one can compare with him in terms of intelligence, ability to invent new tools and mechanisms, and to exert the strongest influence, after God and space, on the fate of our planet. But the fact remains that for millions of years, from the moment when the most ancient primitive man appeared to the present day, man has never, not even for a single second, been the top predator in the hierarchy of the animal world. This means that, both in prehistoric times and today, there are animals for which the ancient Australopithecus or Neanderthal with Cro-Magnon, as well as modern man, were and are both potential victims and high-calorie food. It's true that many historical enemies of our kind have long since been wiped off the face of the earth by evolutionary processes or as a result of excessive human activity. Other members of the carnivorous fauna have successfully evolved and even adapted to global urbanization, but have not given up the habit of attacking humans. But first things first, we begin our journey into the prehistoric world of human hunting with the Miocene epoch. It was then, about 20 million years ago, that the oldest ancestor of modern man discovered by scientists, the proconsul, already existed on Earth. Probably the time of its existence fell at the time when chimpanzees and apes had not yet separated and were one species. Since proconsuls have features of both, with an average mass of 20 to 30 kilograms, these animals did not yet have the strength, skills, and intelligence in sufficient quantity to resist other carnivores of their time. Therefore, they were food for almost any predator that was larger and more agile than the proconsuls. However, as they evolved, acquired new skills, and spread across the planet, our ancient ancestors became increasingly tough for their natural enemies, and they, in turn, slowly but surely moved from the category of human hunters to their prey. The first of the real human species, Homo habilis, or experienced man, was still a tasty morsel for large predators. For example, for the ancient crocodile called Anthropophagus, and the name of the prehistoric 8-meter reptile speaks for itself. Translated, the term means nothing more than man-eater. Fossil remains of this crocodile were discovered in 2007 in one of the canyons of Africa, together with fossilized skeletal fragments of two species of humans, representatives of Homo sapiens and Paranthropus boi. By the way, it's the Paranthropus who are considered to be the first humans to learn how to make stone tools. Research has allowed us to assume with a high degree of certainty that man-eating crocodiles have been attacking humans for many thousands of years, not just occasionally, as is the case today. Most likely, our ancestors were a significant part of the diet of these ruthless reptiles. Another fierce and ruthless hunter of humans for many centuries and millennia was the saber-toothed cat. This animal is often called a saber-toothed tiger, although from a scientific point of view, this term's not correct. Scientists themselves usually call these extinct animals smilodons. They existed for more than 2 million years, including in parallel with various species of ancient humans, and they only became extinct about 10,000 years ago. In terms of size, saber-toothed cats were significantly larger than all existing cats, and could weigh up to half a ton. The closest contact between saber-toothed cats and ancient humans most likely occurred during the existence of Heidelberg man. This intermediate species in our evolution lived between 800 and 130,000 years ago. They were a descendant of the first representatives of the species erect man, and an ancestor of Neanderthal man, our direct predecessor. In a literally deadly battle between humans and saber-toothed tigers, the latter ultimately suffered a crushing defeat. Although our ancestors didn't eat these huge cats, they were able to defeat them indirectly. Humans learned to make more advanced hunting tools, and over thousands of years, destroyed a significant portion of the megafauna that was the main food source for smilodons. This, according to many scientists, was one of the reasons for their complete disappearance from the face of the Earth. Another deadly neighborhood humans had was with other ancient giant predators, cave bears. Human and bear remains have been found side by side in many prehistoric caves. This speaks to the fact that they probably fought not so much for food, but for habitat. For humans, the cave bear was too much of a nuisance to kill for food. And for the bear itself, humans were of little interest. Surprisingly, this huge beast was primarily a herbivore. This confrontation lasted from about 100 to 30,000 years ago, and it ended predictably. Humans stayed, bears did not. Large birds also posed a considerable threat to our ancient ancestors. Although even the largest and strongest of them cannot wipe out humans, they could easily carry away small children. One of the scientific confirmations of this fact is the so-called Tong child. This is the fossilized skull of the Australopithecus baby found in Africa, and upon examination, scientists determined that it died from the paws and beak of a bird of prey. This doesn't seem implausible, since even today there are cases of large eagles tearing human children to pieces. A separate story about the struggle between large birds and humans, shrouded in myth and legend but not without a grain of truth, exists among the indigenous people of New Zealand, the Maori. The bird in question is called puakai by the natives themselves, and scientists tend to believe that it's a Haas eagle, weighing up to 14 kilograms and being very strong and aggressive. These natives of the South Island of New Zealand could well have successfully attacked Maori children after they settled in Haas' ancestral land and began to destroy the eagle's usual food. First of all, these were moa, flightless New Zealand birds that the Maori tribes also liked. As a result, Haas eagles suffered the same sad fate as cave bears, saber-toothed cats, and many other ancient species. It's possible to note other creatures that posed a real danger to humans many thousands of years ago. These are, for example, primitive hyenas and distant ancestors of modern wolves, which have a self-explanatory and blood-curdling name, the dire wolf. The history of these animals' confrontation with ancient man is entirely consistent with the sad stories of extinction described above. The animals lived in their usual environment on the territory of North America and had no significant problems with reproduction or food supply until the moment when the first tribes of primitive settlers arrived. Having almost survived the Ice Age, even the gray wolves could not survive in the vicinity of humans. Unfortunately, this was not only the case thousands of years ago, it's still the case today. We'll come back to this later. Interesting fact, perhaps humans survived as a biological species in the fight against other, often more dangerous and stronger predators. Also because their meat is not very caloric. For example, a horse's body contains 10 times more calories than the fattest and, excuse the expression, tastiest human. Another fact that's been scientifically confirmed. Sometimes primitive people ate each other. Yes, among the ancient descendants of modern man, cases of cannibalism were, if not widespread, certainly not isolated incidents. But again, one ancient man was not a good food source for another. Again, the caloric content is not the same, and hunting for one's own kind was probably not the easiest. So the saying, man is man's enemy, or even more so food, was not particularly relevant in those days. And if humans didn't become each other's food in the process of evolution, then they were very much enemies, and to a greater extent than any other representative of the fauna from the moment life appeared on Earth to the present day. It's time to answer one of the main questions that we answer in this video. Who is man's greatest enemy today? Hungry, man-eating lions? No. Ruthless and calculating crocodiles? Also no. Perhaps numerous poisonous reptiles or deadly insects? This answer's not correct either. Cannibal humans in the literal sense are also out of the question, but in a figurative sense, such a definition will be closer to the truth. If you think about it a little, almost all of you will find the answer to this most important question with regret and perhaps even with horror. It's difficult, frightening, and shameful to admit, but man's greatest enemy is himself. No one is capable of doing as much harm as we are ourselves. Having imagined themselves to be the pinnacle of the earthly world, humans have invented so many ways to kill and have done so much evil to other species of life and to each other that no other animal community has been able to do. Not today, and not a million years ago. No wild predator would kill a potential victim at a common watering hole, because it understands that it will do more harm than good, even to itself. And no animal kills another for any reason other than food, the struggle for survival, or the right to reproduce. Not a single lion, even a madman, would ever think of killing a human or any other creature for pleasure or as a trophy, to hang the victim's head on the wall and spread the skin underfoot. And human civilization has, unfortunately, made the killing of all living things almost commonplace. Moreover, destroying others is becoming increasingly boring, and people continue to invent ways to destroy their own civilization. But how much longer will nature allow us to assert ourselves at the expense of others and experiment with our own destiny in this way? We think not. We'll be very happy if the video was not only interesting, but also didn't leave you indifferent. You can always share your feelings in the comments. See you soon on the Age of Dinosaurs channel.